You guys remember which browsers you use to surf the web these days? Netscape, Mosaic. So, whilst there are many people among us that have some like harmony with these names, others of you might feel a bit worried about Netscape 4 or IE 3. Why is that? Because these browsers suck. Why do they suck? What sucks? Browser fragmentation sucks. Why does it suck? Come on. Because you spend like half a day for just optimizing your code to work across all these browsers, right? And why does this still matter? I mean, it's 2012, right? Because now we get the mobile landscape and browser fragmentation is getting even worse. So the current reality when you're coding for the mobile web and you really care for coding for the mobile web, and we've heard in the talk before how important that is, it's something like this. It's just an example in two debugging cycles. Step 1 is you code something. Step 2 is you preview it in Chrome, maybe in Firefox, or in any other browser that doesn't suck. So then when you're testing on mobile devices, on real devices, you enter the URL on the mobile device with the tiny mice keyboard, right? Okay. So let's say you're not only testing on one device, you're testing on 8 devices, which is a good average, good start point. You repeat that for 8 devices. Enter the URL manually, next device. So then you change something, maybe you missed a semicolon. So then you press refresh on all these 8 devices, right? So this like sums up to 23 manual steps for just previewing stuff. What the fuck? Okay, guys, we talked about the problem. I think it's clear. My talk today is going to be about available solutions to solve that problem. So I do work for Adobe. I'm in a BDM and developer relations role combined. So I'm going to show you an Adobe tool, yeah. But this might be 10 minutes of my talk. The rest of it is, or supposed to be, interactive. So I don't want to be the only guy talking today. I want you to interact. This talk is not complete. It's not perfect. So if there's something coming to your mind that should be added to this presentation, please let me know. Right away. Just shout it out. And if you don't want to shy, whatever, tell it to me afterwards. So the session gets better. It's the 5th time I'm actually presenting this session, and it evolved. And you know, like the browser vendors and tool makers and whatever constantly work on changing the mobile landscape. So something in this presentation might already be incorrect, even if I checked everything again yesterday. So for instance, 2 weeks ago, I had I was talking about that at Campus Party in Berlin. And I was talking about Firefox 15 beta, which was actually just coming out in the final state that day. So let me know, please. Interact. It's a best practices session. Those of you that know better than me should tell the other guys. Let's work on the takeaway, okay? Okay, hopefully I can give you some tips and tricks to evolve your daily work. And tonight, there's some party going on. I'll be there as well. So this is my take. Do not hire a web developer that doesn't do this. Thank you. You're all back from lunch, so let's stretch a little bit. I'm at a front-end conference, so I assume everybody of you is creating content that is displayed by browsers, right? Show me your arms. So who's not actually doesn't. No, keep them up. This is going to take 15 minutes, so relax. Who of you in the room is not testing on real mobile devices? Lower the arm right now. Wow. Awesome. Okay. Who of you is not testing on not testing on one or more devices? So if you have one or more devices, keep your arm up. 2 or more? Lower the arm if you only have 2. 3 or more? 5 or more? Okay, wait a second. Like at about 12 people left. 10 or more? 2. 15 or more? Nobody. Not bad. You see my arm? Okay. It's true. I mean, why does it matter? Because your users don't consume content in a desktop browser. They do it on the mobile device. So of course you need to test on mobile devices. And all of you that feel very good and proud with like testing with 5 devices will feel very bad after this talk. But as said before, it sucks because 23 steps, manual steps for just 2 debugging cycles. What can we do about that? Tools for the win. Of course. So I spent a reasonable amount of time doing research on what's available. And I came up with these 10 tools. When I held that talk the first time, it has only been 8. So 2 have been added in the meantime. 1 I forgot, 1 is new. And yeah, let's just talk about these tools. I mean, I really don't need to point you guys to the Safari mobile debugger. I think everybody knows it's a pain to find. So you need to go to settings and switch some flag and whatever, and then you have this little debug console, whatever that should be thing in Safari for iOS. It's the plus with this thing is it's convenient, it's built in, it's available to everybody. The flip side is you get no DOM editing. So you cannot access the DOM like with Web Inspector or developer tools. You cannot work with breakpoints. And actually the JS log in this tool is really, it's flattened. It's only level 1. So it's useful as an indicator, but nothing more. So my vote for this, and I will do this for every tool, is it's like, yeah, some like limited use for real world needs. Do you agree? Okay, cool. I'm not so wrong. You're very quiet, guys. Either I'm talking crap or you're sleepy from lunch. Wake up. Okay, next one. The maker is sort of obscured here, right? The reason behind that is because Apple actually obscured the functionality of this goodness, which sits in WebKit, the remote debugger in WebKit. You cannot really use it without really like dirty hacking it. Some of the tools I'm going to mention later did that for you, so you don't need to do it by yourself. In the end, the solution you will get is sort of limited and needs a lot of stuff to run. Because actually, who of you guys is on Windows or Linux? Yeah, 30%, okay, fair enough. You cannot use it because it requires a Mac, because it requires iOS SDK. And it doesn't only require iOS SDK 5, it also requires iOS SDK 4. So you need both the SDKs. And you'll end up with a solution that you can only use with iOS 5, not with 4. And the biggest problem is it's supporting simulators only. So you can work with the local simulator, but not on a real device. Okay. iOS 6, okay, it's not out. Maybe some of you guys in the room are in the developer program. All of you and all of you out there in the stream know everything is under NDA. But we, of course, all follow the word, the magical stuff. So we know the rumors about iOS 6 maybe having something like a remote debugger in it, in iOS or in Safari mobile for iOS 6 as well. I mean, don't know, not released yet, but looking forward to it. Anyway, this would be iOS 6 only, okay? And if you look at the adoption rate of, for instance, OS X 10.8, I think currently it's at about 17%, and it's really out for a while now. So it might get faster with updating the mobile devices, but you end up with people, if you look at statistics of real, like, that's a hard word, ubiquitous, websites, web services like YouTube or whatever around the globe, you'll find some iOS 4 devices as well. Company restrictions, not updating, old devices that cannot run a newer iOS version. For instance, iPad 1 will not run iOS 6, so hello fragmentation. Again, a lot to maintain for only a fraction. Can test on iOS 5 in this simulator. Limited use for real-world needs. iWeb Inspector. Maximiliano Ferdman brought up that great solution, which actually does exactly what I said before. It takes off the burden of hacking WebKit remote debugger by yourself. But you know, it has all the flip sides I mentioned before. It's simulator only, it's iOS 5 only, Why do I mention it? There's one good thing inside. You can run it with PhoneGap apps or Chromeless web apps, or any native app that uses UI WebView, which is sort of interesting. But again, it's like sort of limited use for real world needs. These guys did the job right. Opera Dragonfly, first announced back in 2008, that's 4 years. They have remote debugger. You can work with Opera Dragonfly developer tools from your browser and connect wirelessly to real devices and debug your stuff in Opera browsers. Actually, in all Opera browsers that are powered by the Presto 2.1 engine or newer, which is, let me look to my notes, a lot. Opera Mobile 9.5 Plus on Android, on Symbian, on Windows Mobile, not Windows Phone, Windows Mobile, Migo, and the other browser is Opera Mobile 11 and higher on Android tablets and on Windows 7, and the Opera 10 or higher emulator. That's what is supported. Pretty cool. Opera Mini is not supported. The reason behind that is Opera Mini uses sort of a server in between that compresses the code. So it doesn't make much sense to debug that stuff because it's like old Greek. So again, with this solution, you need to like download stuff and set it up and maintain it and update it and whatever. So it's again a lot of stuff to maintain for only a fraction of the market. So my vote is it's like sort of limited use for real world needs. Chrome for Android Web Inspector. That's not the longest name for today. But as you can see on the picture, it got something to do with cables. Actually, yesterday night I came to the crazy idea of rebuilding the whole slide deck and set up my toolbox and made all these nice pictures, and it took me until 2:30 in the night. So tired today, but it's Red Bull country, so stuff is working. Okay, with the Google Developer Tools, we'll have another nice proprietary vertical solution. Sorry for that, but that's the reality. You have another set of stuff to download and set up and to maintain and to update and whatever for supporting Google's browsers or Google's browser. And of course, it supports the latest version best, which is fair enough. But the problem is it needs a cable. Your real device needs to be wired via USB. So you need 80K, 80B, USB, all these three-letter words. It's not for Android below Ice Cream Sandwich, so not available for Android 3 or anything below 4. And yeah, it's again Like I mean, it's cool if you have a specific problem with Android, with Google Chrome for Android 4 or above in the newest version. That's really helpful. But I'm telling you, you won't have the problem there. It's definitely with one of the other ones. So, but if it is so, you know, it's great because, and you should use it. It's cool. I'm happy that this actually fits on the slide. It's the Firefox for Android remote debugging tool. Goodness. And it's awesome. It has something, and Mozilla keeps on like doing stuff right. I mean, who is not using MDN in a certain way? You can do remote debugging on the device. It works wirelessly, no cables, and it works from Android 2.2 up with Firefox 15. I'm repeating myself, I'm sorry for that, but it's, again, a lot to set up and to maintain and for just this specific browser, okay? So, and I can send you a list of stuff you need to do to set up all these. You don't want to have it, huh? No, okay. Okay, so it's limited use for real world needs. Then we got Socketbug. I'm sorry, my Treo died yesterday, so the battery is dead. So I couldn't put on my blog on this device to show you that it's working on this one. Because, you know, remember, I had my hand up. I'm currently testing on 30 devices. Socketbug, developed by Peter Schmalfeld, equips you with simulators and devices, which is cool. Because maybe you work in a train or whatever and you do it on a simulator. You get like 98% accurateness. And then later on you test it, of course, on the real device. It supports iOS, Android, and new to the show, Palm WebOS. That's the reason why this body is there. The problem with all the tools I mentioned until now is you still need to go from device to device. So we are still with the 23 steps involved that I showed in my example calculation in the beginning. Keep that in mind with all the solutions. So I'd say Peter did a great job. That's cool. My vote is like it's close to it. It's much better than the other ones because it like supports 3 platforms. Cool. What about that guy? Do you know the device? It's a BlackBerry tablet. So I had to think really hard where to put that tool. Okay, but you cannot see the logo. It's a BlackBerry device. It doesn't support web fonts. Can you see that? It sucks. Fuck. Okay. Actually, the BlackBerry tablet OS is pretty cool. I mean, they use a WebKit port, which doesn't obfuscate the remote debugger. So you can use remote debugger with the browser that sits natively on the BlackBerry tablet OS. Huge plus. Well done, RIM. So Winery is a tool developed by Patrick Müller. Actually, the name sounds pretty German or Swiss or Austrian, but it's an American guy. Patrick is working for IBM, Big Blue, and he's a strong contributor to PhoneGap. So Winery, which is an acronym for Web Inspector Remote, and yes, it's Winery, not Weinre or Winery, enables you to inspect the remote DOM on the device. So you open a session and you look at what the browser on your mobile device actually rendered or computed, which is a big plus because it will differ from what your desktop browser is thinking of your code. It supports iOS up from 4, Android from whatever to 1, and the BlackBerry. That's the reason why the tablet is in the picture, not because of the tool. No. I love this tablet. It's actually the only one where you can use the frame, the black border, as a touch-sensitive area. So when watching pictures or whatever, you can control them without putting your finger over what you actually want to see. I don't know why no other tablet. Does the Nexus 7 do that? I don't have one yet, huh? But I will have one next week, right? I'll put it on here. Okay. The good news on Winery is before, like some month ago, you needed to do like lots of really hairy Java setup to run that server locally. Really hairy. But now it's available in a Node.js port. So it's as easy as npm install Winery, 2 minutes thing, fire it up, ready. Check it out. It's awesome. But it needs JavaScript inside your code to connect. So even if it's only one line, one snippet, it's not 100% your code. And it might interfere with your code. It's very unlikely that it does, but I mean, it could. So worth to mention. It didn't do with me until today, but it could. But the major problem with it is you still need to go from device to device. So the 23 steps thing is still not solved. My vote is it's a powerful partial solution, but like it's not covering all our problems. Who doesn't know Remy Sharp? Whoa, he won't like that. JSConsole.com. Have you seen it? That's wicked. Wicked. It enables you to check the remote DOM on the device, but also in every browser that is out everywhere, anywhere. It talks to every browser, period. No limitations. Okay, you need JavaScript. Because behind JSConsole is actually, it's a console, like the name says. It sits in the cloud, it sits online. It's a service provided by Remy Sharp. It will just give you a command line. And the guys among you that are fluid with jQuery can just use jQuery to walk the remote DOM and inspect it. For command line freaks, that's a wet dream, right? Personally, I like graphical UI, but it's a great tool. I love it. And it's truly remote. But I guess one problem that the other solutions, the other 9 solutions don't have, it sends your code to a remote server. So if you work inside a company that doesn't like that, or you work on a very confidential project or whatever, you got no option to use it locally. And you still, of course, need to go from what? Device to device to work with it. So I'd say it's a powerful partial solution. Is it possible to run a known server for that? No. You can talk to Remy, maybe he hands over the code, I don't know. But JSConsole.com, as the name says, is like. Number 10. And the picture is already telling you something that makes the difference from all the other 9 solutions. Because, yeah, synced browsing. No more 23 steps, just 2 steps. Code, preview, and all the devices follow along. Awesome. I mean, one disclaimer. I work for Adobe, and they pay me money for, like, saying 4-letter words at conferences like that and stuff like that. They do not. But I have to say that, believe me or not, but I really love this tool. I ran my own software company for at about 8 years before my time at Adobe with 30 guys, and our main focus has been automated testing, integration tests, whatever. My Steckenpferd, I don't know the English word for that, actually is real-time usage analysis. So, like, if my algorithm finds out that the user is not pleased with an interface, offer him A/B tests, different versions of an interface, stuff like that. And I mean, the Shadow guys presented the blueprint for the software to me last year in September. It's out since March. So I had to zip myself for like at about half a year from not telling everybody about it already, and now I can, which is awesome. I love it. I will show it to you right now because it rocks. But it has also limitations. First, the good news. It supports iOS 4, 5, and 6. It supports Android 2, 3, and 4. And it supports the Kindle Fire, which is like sort of an Android, I think 2.3 port or something like that. So this is, at least from a US perspective, like 95% of the market. We'll continue to support other platforms as well, as soon as they are relevant. So go ahead and buy Windows Phone 7.5 devices or even Windows Phone 8 devices. This is an awesome device, Nokia Lumia 900. From a business perspective, it's the best UI I've ever seen. So it's just great. But no Shadow on it, unfortunately. An IE9, a crippled one, no web fonts. Whoa. Blah. Okay. The difference that Shadow makes is not only sync browsing, it's also no proprietary vertical solution. So we are running UI WebView to make that possible, which has one other limitation. It doesn't have the Nitro engine, which means your JS execution is a bit slower than in the real browser, which actually, from a testing perspective, is the right way to do it. And no, you cannot run with Chrome or Firefox or other non-native browsers, but it will not simulate or emulate. It will actually use the real engine on the device. So that's as close as it gets for the moment. It's wireless, no cables, and it got a ton of useful features that other solutions don't feature. So let's check that out. And just for the case that you like it, you know, and you're on Appnet or on Twitter, tweet. Thank you. Thank you. Tweets. Hopefully a good one. All right. So let's check it out. Here's my favorite browser. And here's my favorite camera tool. And here are several devices. So first of all, it's the Samsung GT-P7100. That's an iPhone 4, non-S. That's an HTC Desire HD, no, Z actually, flip out one. That's the HTC Desire HD. It's running, I think, Android 2.3.5, and this one is on 2.2.1 or something like that. So there's the iPad 3. Oh no, that's the new iPad. And this is an iPad 2. That's the old iPad. And this is actually a Sony Tablet S, the old one. It's not the new one because the guys at Sony are on IFA in Berlin and don't respond to my emails and don't send me the new device, which I hate. Because this one is great. It's awesome. It's like shaped like a book. So you can hold it like this or like this, and you actually have the, you have the Razor or whatever you call it integrated. And it's really lightweight. It's good Android tablet. So here's what we are going to do. All these devices actually display an error. I'll tell you why in a second. All these devices run an app that is available on the Google Play Store and on iTunes Store, which is called Adobe Shadow. The second component you need is Adobe Shadow itself. It is, oh no, the resolution doesn't allow me to show it in the toolbar up here. Oh, maybe yes, yeah. It sits in the toolbar or like in the start bar, whatever it's called on Windows. Like it's all mirrored on Windows, so it's like, but you'll find it. And the third component is actually a Chrome extension. And as you can see, it has features, options, whatever. What I wanted to show you is this panel. So this actually shows us which devices are connected to my local computer right now. I run a small subnetwork just to have a fast network because that's actually a good idea. This is using basically a sort of a broadcast in the network to talk to the clients. But other features are very, very data intensive, so require a lot of bandwidth on the local network. So I don't want to be with my devices in your network. It's nothing personal. Okay, so if you connect a new device, what I don't want to do, because you can imagine, it's just like firing up Shadow. It will look up available servers on the local network. And then you just say, okay, I'm joining that network, and it'll present you with a 6-digit PIN, which you just enter in this Chrome extension. And then the devices are paired, okay? So it's like sort of a secure subnetwork thing. And closely watch the left side of the screen right now. Because whatever you do when you're developing, like changing code and refreshing, it follows what you're doing in Chrome. Okay? So for instance, if I follow to my blog, which of course is, if I go over to my blog, which of course is responsive, you know, tweeting about me during my session has flip sides. It follows along, except the Sony tablet, which just crashes the application. Okay, it's in preview. Okay, it's not final yet. Apologize. Okay, you're not impressed. Damn it. Okay, what about that? To do that, hey, one more, and you're out of the game. Well, okay, thank you. We're going to demonstrate the pairing process. Isn't that nice? 7388183. Bottom. And we're in. Okay. Well played, Sony. So how do we do it? We monitor the URL bar, basically, in Chrome. And we're broadcasting it to the devices. So what if you use URL variables or stuff like that? We transfer them. So this nice responsive website uses like, it's a single page design. So as you can see, it will follow along. Very nice. It won't work with localhost, okay? But I wanted a white page. I need to set up a white page on my web server to have a white page for the next time. Then I looked up, I Googled, I didn't Photoshop, but I Googled white page, and it presented me with some pictures of white pages. But it produced like an endless loop on all these devices. I don't know what's wrong with your image search with the JavaScript in there, but Shadow didn't like it. So, yeah. Anyway, if you want to work with localhost, just use the IP of your machine, because of course the devices are trying to resolve localhost, and they don't find a local web server because they are stupid. They don't have a web server. I mean, you could, whatever. Other session. All right. So when you're working with that, you know that you will frequently run in the need of refreshing your local cache, right? There has been a genius that said, I don't think if I get that right, that quote right, but he said something like, there are only two difficult things in computer science: cache validation and naming stuff. He's right. So can one of you guys tell me which steps are needed to refresh the cache on an Android 2.1 device? Okay. So for you people out in the live stream, eyeballs were going up, sweat on whatever. Okay, so reserve a good proportion of your brain if you're testing on 10, 20 or more devices in different operating systems to remember how to clear the cache. And you have 23 steps again, not with shadow. How cool is this tiny button? And what does it do? It refreshes all the devices. And it doesn't only do that, it also clears the cache before, because it makes sense in this workflow. Okay? Finally, some enthusiasm. You're awake. Cool. Okay, so let's go for the awesome stuff. I mean, I think this is already very helpful, but let's do remote inspection. Please focus your eyes on the iPad 3. Oh no, the new iPad. And look what I'm doing. I'm just firing up something using this brackets icon. This is Winery. It integrates solution number 9. And with that, it uses the WebKit developer console, like the whatever they name it. You know what it is? You have seen it before. So, and closely follow the iPad 3 on the upper right. So I'm doing real on-device code inspection, and this code is actually featuring a lot of diffs. Wow. Diff, 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 diff. Let's take this one. I will just delete it. Okay, it's gone. So now I'll delete design. So then it says develop, and I say something like MVC 12 rocks. Boom. Can you please update that? Did I? Oh, I wrote it in the ID. Damn it, stupid. Thank you. Okay, and you got, of course, like sort of a full features JavaScript console, which rocks as well. I use semicolons right now. All right? Cool. So as you can see, this device is not in sync with the others anymore. Question, yeah. What about post requests? What do you mean specifically? What do you want to know? I mean, you know, the device is just doing what it would do if you would serve to that website manually. So we are copying the URL. So if you have post URL parameters, let's check it. Do you have a service that's using it? We'll do it later, okay? Thanks. I didn't check it before. I won't touch that. I'm on the live stream. All right. What I did actually is like I broke out of the sync. So and of course you can do that at any time. Just like take the device into the hand, check how your UX concept is actually working, how the buttons are working, whatever. You can also refresh a single device. So I'm doing that with that refresh or pull to refresh gesture. So it's just cleaning the cache and loading page again. And there is more goodness here. I just need to raise that device a little bit so you can see it a little bit better. So as you can see, I have a feature that you guys don't. I can put that browser to full screen. And to bring that back, I just need a half refresh gesture. This will be in one of the next releases. And I also have one button that you guys already have. What does it say? Open in browser. Copy URL and screenshot. Okay, open in browser is pretty neat because, I mean, as said before, I'm not able to use it with Chrome or Firefox or whatever. But with this tiny little button, I will be in the native browser or another browser really quick. Copy URL, same thing. And now for screenshot. Do you remember the steps? Oh no, I'm not doing that again. But how to do a screenshot in Android? Google, what have you done to us? You need 15 tools, 3 cables, and in the end you take your DSLR and take a picture, you know, because it doesn't work. Okay, check that out. What's that? Screenshots. Psst. And now we go for the screenshot. Oh no, it's already screenshots from the last testing session. I'll quickly do that again. Just empty the folder so you can see how the pictures pop in there. Isn't that awesome? I love it. So if we look at the screenshot, we see that there's actually a problem. I don't know if you noticed it on the HTC Desire HD because it doesn't render the navigation bar. So this is our bug report. We take the PNG and send it to the developer that made the code. And along we'll send this sidecar file, which contains, right now, quite useful, the URL, the payload of the site, the OS version, and some useful information. And maybe in the next version, we'll have something that directly connects to a bug tracking system and fires a bug report or something like that. That's one of my favorite feature requests. All right. Regarding remote or whatever code, you have, and that's the last thing I want to show, you have the option to use a local Winery server, which is not only faster. I mean, you can go with the Adobe provided one, which sits in the cloud. And as you can see, I'm just running a local version of it right here, that's another option that is new in Labs release 4. And this is actually let me just switch resolutions and do the regular stuff I need to do to continue with my slides. And this is like the evolution chart of Shadow until now. We introduced it on March 6th this year. This is 5 months ago. So what you have seen is like the work from last year, September. It's 1 year's work. Labs release 1 didn't really contain much. I mean, it could do sync browsing and remote inspection and debugging, and it worked for iOS and Android, which is already pretty good. But as you can see, we added a lot of stuff. Shadow is in something we call a Labs release. Usually at Adobe, we call stuff that is not final yet and available for free publicly before we finish it preview release. We couldn't call it preview release. Anybody want to guess why? Because of the iOS rules. I once put an app for my own conference I run in Berlin, the Adobe Tech Summit last year. I wanted to submit it to the iOS store, and in the splash screen it says, dies ist eine Beispiel-App. Sie wird auf dem ATS 11 von allen gebaut und dann später bla bla bla. So this is a demo app, bla bla bla. And there are rules that don't allow you to name something demo-ish or whatever. So we called it Labs release and it was fine for them. So, what I want to tell you with that is that we are constantly adding more features. And what I also want to tell you with that is that Shadow is available for free until we finally publish it as a 1.0. And before that question is coming, because it will come, Shadow will be available as a subscription service. So you can like rent it monthly. So you don't need to pay for it when you're not working on the web anymore or whatever. It might be, you know, that's a problem. I cannot talk about stuff that we don't have officially announced yet. So I really love my job. I don't want to do that. And I mean, I can tell you, but I need to shoot you right after. It's not good. I'm not. What? There's one problem with the rollout of Shadow, and this is the markets, of course, are not under our control. I mean, we're really good friends with all the other companies, including Apple. Yes, I mean it. And I mean, Google Play Store doesn't have any limitations on like releasing something. So if you want to publish it and you press the button, it's live. It's a little bit different with Apple. So the problem with that is you might end up with inconsistent versions on your devices and your computer. Until now, we didn't have a problem with that. It might be a problem in the future, so it won't run that well, which is logical, normal. So how to avoid that? Follow me on Twitter. I'll always send a tweet when all app stores are in sync. And the other important thing is we want to hear back from you. So the thing that is not really working well today, please do it online. A lot of the features that you have seen today are actually community requested. And the team to which I talk basically every day at night, I know they are going to bed with the forum, and in the morning on the toilet, it's the first thing they do, to read the forums. I mean, you'll get feedback and you will be heard, so use it, please. Let's get back to the problem itself. You need to get real devices. Why is that? Look at this guy and you know. But which devices to acquire? Don't just get any devices. Which ones? Suggestions? More than 1,000 different tablets on the market? Check your analytics. It's your project. So check your stats and make sure you validate what's in the stats. Don't go to stat counter or whatever. And if you work for Google, don't look at the global stats and all the stuff that is not publicly available, because that doesn't mean anything to your project. If you are running, let's say, your project is like an accessory store for iOS devices, okay, it's most likely that you won't have much traffic from Android or BlackBerry devices, okay? But you might be wrong, so check it. And don't drop the exotic ones. As I talked, when I talked about that thing, when I held that session at Mobile Camp Hamburg, like some weeks ago, a web worker from the audience just raised his hand and said, "You won't believe it, but I'm just working for a big German insurance company on the page redesign, and we checked the analytics." So number one in mobile device requests has been the iPhone. Number two has been the iPad. Wash your mouth. Number three has been the BlackBerry tablet, and one of the biggest insurance companies in Germany. So, but then I asked him, okay, did you check if the company has 5,000 people, salespeople out in the field that is running the mortgage calculator on a web service on this thing? And he just answered, yes, we did, because he's a smart guy, you know. But think about that data. Don't just look at the, top 10 requests. It makes no sense. Another example, if your project lives to generate revenue, look at the customer lifetime value. Look which requests are most relevant for your revenue stream and support these devices first. It might not be the iPad. Depends. And it will be project specific. It does not make any sense to be fanboyish when doing mobile web testing. Not at all. So here's a recommendation. You don't need to take pictures of that. It's on SlideShare. I'll tweet the link later. I mean, the presentation on SlideShare is the text version. So I don't put cat content slides on the web. It makes no sense, even if I really like my photos. But all these photos are like the upsides and the downsides of the tools. Why these devices? To make it short, because I'm running out of time. It is a good, what is Schnittmenge in English? Average. It's a good average. It's basically older devices first, as long as you can avoid it, like talking about Retina displays. And it's a good selection. So this is a good starting point. If you are among the guys that only test on one device or 2 or 5 or whatever, how many are on these lists? What's wrong with you? Okay. So if you wanna learn more, because I'm running out of time, I just wrote an article. It's 10 pages on a tablet. It's a digital magazine called Appnet, and it's also available for free in the Google Play Store and the Apple Store. Check it out. Just got released yesterday with our own Vincent Hardy. Don't read the article; it's irrelevant. Don't read the article of Dmitry Baranovsky; it's irrelevant. Don't read the article of Jörn Safera, it's irrelevant, and you have already read it on Smashing Mac. Read my article. And don't read the article of Paul Irish or Chris Heilman, or just don't do it, you know. The tips in there is like how to acquire devices without paying for it. Download it right now and the network will crash. Which accessories you should be on the lookout for. So when you're as stupid as me, nurturing 30 devices, besides from taking care for the garden and the plants and the kids, and you will need these tips. Also, it includes some more tips on how to analyze your stats to find out which is the right device field, the test farm for your project, because it will change from project to project. And it includes also a detailed list of all the tools I mentioned today. So, and if you are saying, okay, no, this guy is crazy, no way that I am going to, like, you know, buy so many devices. I mean, they're old after 2 months, you know, you can throw them away. Or maybe you're allergic to Wi-Fi radio waves. Or you prefer real phones like the Nokia 6310. I mean, where you can actually make a call with and stuff like that. You still need a test on real devices, right? Anybody in doubt that you need to test on real devices? Okay, so what to do? There's a blog for that. It's my blog, it's just up, but don't open it right now because at the moment I don't have a responsive images solution. And all images are Retina, and you will crash the network if you do it right now. But you can do it later. It's a short URL, klk.as/opdevlabs. And this is a list of all open device labs I know in the world. And if you know one that is not listed there, please contribute and let me know. Just put a comment down there. First comment has been from Jordan Moore, which really amazed me on Monday. And you can go to these open device labs and test on all the devices without buying them. Okay, so do that, at least. Some words on BlackBerry. BlackBerry OS 6 sports WebKit. But you can read the bot by yourself. The other thing, since this is like a UX conference, did you test your user interface on a device which has no touchscreen yet? With this little rubber, whatever you call it thing, or the wheel, it's fun. You should do it. You will fail. Okay, and I already mentioned the other thing. Not to forget, these nice guys, WebOS. I would recommend a Palm Pre or Palm Pixie. You can, I mean, actually people give you money if you take it from them. You can, sorry. The conference organizer works at HP. I'm so sorry, Markus. Apologize. Firefox Mobile and Firefox Mobile OS, of course. I mean, it's highly alpha, but check it out. I think it rocks. And I'm currently working with the Mozilla guys and our team to have a shadow client on Firefox Mobile OS, hopefully soon. So request it in the forum, support me with that. Chrome for Android, ice cream sandwich, of course. Chrome for iOS, which is pretty nice because when it has been out, that's perfect. My blog has SVGs in the upper right corner for the social media ribbon. And I tested it on the iPad 2 and on iPad 3, on the old iPad and on the new iPad. And interestingly, with the same iOS version and the same version of Chrome for iOS on iPad 2, the SVGs was rendering correctly. And on iPad 3, it would look pixelish and didn't render the upper layer. So check it out. It doesn't mean anything if your code performs well on one device. That's the perfect example for that. Opera Mobile, Opera Mini, Dolphin HD. Who has heard of this browser for the first time today? Wow! For the guys in the live stream, half the audience. Okay, some final tips and tricks. If you're going to check out Shadow, and I know you will after the session, hopefully, you might run a virtual host workflow on your machine, so work with local virtual machines, virtual hosts. There are some tips on how to deal with that using Shadow. XIP.io is a nice service that will help you with that, or Charles Proxy, which is only available on the Mac. And live reload, of course, makes sense. You don't, it's one step removed, one step less. And there's one awesome tool by Remy Sharp, JSBin, which we did some work together with Shadow to make it run with Shadow as well. So imagine you run JSBin. I mean, it's a collaboration tool. It's a snippet tester. So you're in the browser, you're testing something, you're entering some JS, some CSS, whatever, and it will instantly render it for you. And it will instantly render it in all the devices as well. Snippet tester with collaboration. JSBin rocks. So with that, famous last words. Why do you laugh? Never. Testing for the mobile web is still, from my perspective, an expert's area. I mean, if I need to talk 1 hour about that, and this room is like nearly completely full, which shows me that either the other talk is completely boring or you are interested in that session, we need to do something with that. So, and yeah, just let's work together and make the mobile web a better place. Thank you. Oh, one more thing. No, next week there's an amazing conference right here in Zurich. It's called the Graphical Web, formerly known as SVG Open. And if you do want to learn more about what we are doing together with amazing companies like Google, like Microsoft, like Apple, like whatever, and the community to shape the web and to improve our future, go there. Come to the conference. Dimitri Baranovsky is there. He's working for Adobe right now. I don't know if you know that. Vincent Hardy will be there. Divya Manion will be there. Sarah Hunt will be there. I will be there. Okay, just come. Would anybody be interested in getting a free ticket for this conference? Okay, follow me on Twitter. I'll raffle it on Monday. Bye-bye. Thank you.